Okay. Okay. We should be live. Yeah. As the title says, we're gonna try and get through the rest of the book today. I want to get all the actual like reading done. I want to get all the reading done today, so tomorrow I can just focus on getting the getting the editing done. So yeah, we have what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6 chapters left. Hi, welcome in. Yeah, so we have 6 chapters to do. I'm kind of trying to hype myself up. I'm a bit tired today, but I want to get this done. For example, hello, Enda. Hi, how we doing? How we doing? Everyone doing good? Everyone doing good? Listen to yesterday's live. Hi, welcome in, Lola. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try and get just, yeah, as I said, everything read today, all the chapters done. And then tomorrow, oh, I'd stop recording actually. Tomorrow I will be streaming, but I'll be streaming the editing because, like, streaming is helping me motivate myself to do this because I don't know if you guys know, but writing, like, making an entire audiobook in a week is a massive task. Yeah. So. I'm good, probably very cold. Me too. It's freezing. It's freezing in here. It's I hate winter. I hate winter. Hey sheep. Hello. Welcome in. Oh, thank you guys for like going to watch the first part as well. I get any views after, and I woke up to them like tripled. I was like, whoa. Have you been live for long today? No, I started literally, what, 2 minutes? Oh no, the Wi-Fi. Oh no. Oh. Oh, there we're good. Okay. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is dipping out. I'm trying my best. No, so I haven't been streaming for long. I've been streaming for 2 minutes. I haven't read anything yet. Yeah. Oh, did my stream completely break? Nope, we're still going. Okay. Okay. Yes, we haven't missed anything. Yeah, so had a drink. I'm more hydrated than yesterday as well. That's the only thing. I was finding it difficult to keep reading because, like, I was just choking every now. Yeah. Okay. Let's just get into it. So we are on chapter 3 at the moment. I'll probably do 3 chapters and then go have some dinner if I'm hungry yet, and then come back. But I'm determined. Even if I have to be up to like 2 a.m. today, I'm getting this done. And then tomorrow, I don't know if I can edit it all tomorrow because if I predicted it right, it's gonna be anywhere between 4 and 8 hours. So that's a lot of editing for me. Okay. I say we just get into it. Can you guys read it okay, by the way? I feel like the quality's not great on like this here. Can I make it? I don't know if I can make it any cleaner for you. Wait. Is there? Wait, okay, we're gonna okay, if it keeps dropping out, we will switch over to my data. Okay, we should be back. Okay. Oh, this is painful. Okay. Didn't know it's hit and miss like that. No, it's my fault. Okay, we'll stream for a bit, and if we're really struggling and it keeps dropping out, we'll switch over to my mobile data. How much have I used? Because streaming eats up a lot of data, but I kind of want to, so I've got like 300 gigabytes, so if it comes down to it, we can do it. Use 42. Okay. 17. Okay, this is fine. Let's set the data warning at 200 gigs. Okay. Oh, let me F11. We get the comfy, cozy vibes going. And again, I will keep an eye on the Wi-Fi. It shouldn't be dropping out as much as it is, but, you know. Okay. Let's ball. Let's ball. We ballin'. Okay. Does my mic sound okay, by the way? Hang on, it's squeaky while I'm adjusting it. I always feel like my voice sounds funny on here. It sounds a bit, like, echoey, but also I don't hear my own voice often. So, anyway. Should have made hot chocolate or tea. Oh, I don't like tea, so I'm quite biased. But I've heard tea is quite cozy. Yeah, hot chocolate. Okay, right. Chapter 3. Will waits at the top of the stairs, listening. A quiet murmur drifts from the kitchen. The hallway is silent except for the slow and steady tick of the clock. Like the morning before, Mike's bed was empty when Will woke up. And like the morning before, Will quietly carries his bedding down to the basement, careful not to make a sound. Mike's parents don't come to the basement often, but he doesn't want to risk it. The thought of Mr. Wheeler wandering down here in search of new batteries or candles, only to find Will's mattress stripped of pillow and blanket. Coming on data, this is how we live. Coming on data, this is how we live. I'll make you hot chocolate too. Yeah, what I was asking just now, was I reading too fast? I might just restart because that felt a bit flat. Okay. Oh, I like this chapter actually. This is where we get a fight between Will and Mike. Okay. Will waits at the top of the stairs, listening. A quiet murmur drifts from the kitchen. The hallway is silent except for the slow and steady tick of the clock. Like the morning before, Mike's bed was empty when Will woke up. And like the morning before, Will quietly carries his bedding down to the basement, careful not to make a sound. Mike's parents don't come to the basement often, but he doesn't want to risk it. The thought of Mr. Wheeler wandering down here in search of new batteries or candles, only to find Will's mattress stripped of pillow and blanket, sends a shiver down his spine. He doesn't want him asking questions about where Will is spending the night. In the kitchen, the Wheelers sit around the table, faces pale from another cold night. Will glances at... already failing. Will glances at Mike, who, surprisingly, holds his gaze. He doesn't smile, but at least he acknowledges him. That's progress. Morning, Will says, sliding into the chair beside Jonathan. You're up unusually late, Mrs. Wheeler says, smiling. Yeah. Will reaches for the butter. Actually, that's not very Will, is it? That's very me. He's more like monotone. Yeah. Will reaches for the butter, spreading it carefully over the toast. It's true he's usually one of the first people up in this house, but something about sleeping in Mike's room seems to knock him out every night. He glances at Mike, who's already looking at him. Both boys avert their eyes quickly. Is the basement very cold? Holly asks curiously. Can you see your breath? Will looks up, and maybe he hesitates a second too long, because suddenly every face at the table turns toward him. Holly, Mrs. Wheeler, Jonathan, Nancy, and Mike. Even Mr. Wheeler, who for the first time since Will's known him isn't sitting behind a newspaper, follows the conversation, one eyebrow raised, waiting for a reply. You guys, talking about hot chocolate and cold meal, I'm having lunch during summer. Oh, it's so cold. It's freezing here. Is he already suspecting something? Yeah. Will feels heat rushing into his face. It's cold, but it's not too bad, and the blankets help. I'm sleeping pretty good. He doesn't know why he's lying. It's not like he and Mike did everything wrong. But Ted Wheeler said it only a couple of days ago, and now the words echo through Will's head. Grown boys shouldn't sleep in the same room. You're at school. Hello! Hello! It's like 4:45 for me, so very late. He said it like it's something dirty. Like Will is scheming something, or like whatever's wrong with Will might rub off on Mike if they spend too much... Or like whatever's wrong with Will might rub off on Mike if they spend too many nights behind closed doors. And even if it's just the implication, Will has been hiding this part of himself all his life, It's like second nature, an old habit, a familiar voice that says, don't do anything weird. Don't act... I can't say that word. Don't act suspicious. And in the end, Mr. Wheeler does have the power to throw him out. It's his house. He literally owns it. Well, tell me... I'm struggling today. Well, you'll tell me if you need anything, right? Mrs. Wheeler presses, glancing at Jonathan too. I promised Joyce you two would be warm and taken care of, and I don't like the idea of you freezing in the basement. No, really, it's not that cold. It's fine, really, Jonathan says, because he too has been lying about where he sleeps for over a year. When Will looks up again, he sees a frown carved between Mike's brows. He raises his own brows in question, but Mike looks away. Mrs. Wheeler looks at Mike and sighs. You have offered Will your room, right, Mike? There's a silence, a beat too long. Will watches as Mike's frown deepens. He's about to reply when Mr. Wheeler clears his throat and mutters, Jesus, they're boys, not babies. It's not like they're sleeping in the garage. Yeah, Will says too quickly. Yeah. And we're grateful. It's really more than enough. And then, because Mr. Wheeler's stare makes him nervous, like he can see right through him, he adds, I like sleeping in the basement. It feels like our room now. So I wouldn't want it any other way. I like my room too, Holly says helpfully. It draws the attention away from Will, and he can feel the air going back into his lungs. All through breakfast, he tries to meet Mike's eyes, but Mike keeps his head down, pushing food across his plate. The frown between his brows never leaves. After breakfast, Jonathan and Will get ready to visit Hopper's cabin and meet up with their mum and Elle. Will is just halfway down the basement stairs to grab clean clothes from his drawer when Mike slips through the door. Why'd you lie? What? Will turns around. Mike stands at the top of the stairs, hood up, curls sticking out. Why did you lie? The tone in Mike's voice is unfamiliar. Not angry, but close. His brows furrowed, his mouth a sharp line, like Will hurt him personally. Will's stomach tightens, the air between them suddenly colder. What are you talking about, Mike? He steps to the drawer and grabs a fresh sweater. He hears Mike's footsteps behind him. You lied to everybody about where you slept last night and you didn't even blink, saying all that about how you prefer sleeping down here. I don't understand why you do that. Okay. Sure, Will lied, but he has his reasons and maybe he would explain it to Mike, but there's something about the way Mike just came down here and confronted him that makes him forget all reason. Why does he even care? What's it to him? So? So? Mike repeats. I don't understand why you deliberately, the liberty, Statue of Liberty. Wi-Fi dying. I don't understand why you deliberately let my mum worry about you freezing down here. The words seem to bubble up inside him. And I don't know, I just think it's weird how easily you lie when you were always the one who said lying was wrong and that you'd never lie to anyone. What is this even about? Jonathan has been lying to Mike's parents about this exact thing for over a year. Mike lies to his parents all the time. Mike lied to him plenty of times. About how they'd be best friends again. About how they'd work as a team. How sorry he was for treating them like shit. I didn't lie to you, Mike. No. I didn't lie to you, Mike. You're acting like I personally offended you. Something shifts in Mike's face, a dimming in his eyes, a twitch at the corner of his mouth. The softness from last night has vanished, and suddenly Will can't imagine it ever being there. I guess I just didn't realize how much you changed. Will's stomach drops. Out of all the people in the world, how could Mike talk about changing? So have you, Mike. Well, there's something No, it's more like... There's something absolute in his tone. Then I guess we don't know each other anymore. They stare at each other, and Will has imagined this moment 1,000 times. Back when he thought they'd talk things out. Conversations about all the ways they've changed and all the things that happened. But it was never like this. never this cold. He abandons his plan to change clothes and just throws on another sweater. I gotta go, he says. So unless you've got something to say that isn't an accusation, I'm struggling today. So unless you've got something to say that isn't an accusation, move. Mike doesn't hesitate before stepping aside, face unreadable, and Will doesn't hesitate to push past him. He runs up the stairs and meets Jonathan in the hallway. Can we go? Now? On the bike ride, Will is quiet. His heart is beating fast in a mixture of anger and confusion. They were fine last night. They might have even made some progress. How did things escalate so quickly? He would have explained to Mike why he lied if he just asked him normally. Want to talk about it? Jonathan calls, biking beside him, passing leafless trees. No. Will doesn't even want to think about it. Is this stream still working? Why is it in red? We're holding on. Do let me know if it's like really struggling. As soon as they arrive at the cabin, he manages to distract himself, mostly. His mother is all over him, hugging him like they haven't spoken in months. With the fireplace lit, the cabin is cozy. Growing up, the Byers' house was always messy, organized in a way nobody really understood. Now that his mother is living with Hopper, their two messes have combined, and nothing seems to have a logical place anymore. But it's comforting, a stark contrast to the A stark contrast to the conventional. That's some real hard phrases this chapter. Oof. A stark contrast to the conventional cleanness of the Wheelers' house that makes Will overly aware of leaving a single crumb on the counter. We were thinking, Elle says now, holding Will's hand as they sit around the coffee table. There's a frozen cake on the table that must have started thawing the moment the power went out. It looks a little soggy. About the power outage. It's weird that they didn't give us any information, right? Elle pulls a binder from the ground next to the couch, a perfectly normal place to put it, and opens it. Okay. It might run a bit smoother for a little while. We might just have to deal with it dipping out. This is my niche listener. Welcome in. We're having issues with Wi-Fi right now, but bear with. We don't know. Will's mum, who sits on his other side, reaches out to grab one of the pages. We don't know for sure, of course, but we wanted to do something just to be on the safe side. What's this? Jonathan asks, grabbing another page. Will watches as he traces the lines of something that looks like a mind map, the middle word being power outage. We were thinking it might have something to do with the gates. Maybe something's escaped in the tunnels that messes with the power lines, their mother explains. Would explain why nobody's giving any answers, Hopper adds. Escaped, Will repeats, his heart rate picking up. The last 2 days, this is what he's been afraid of. An irrational fear, one that he tried not to entertain. The lurking underneath, sniffing him out, finding him in the cold. It's enough to make him forget about his argument. His. It's enough to make him forget about his argument with Mike. We don't know that, Jonathan says, noticing Will's shift immediately. The military is monitoring the gates. Nothing gets out without somebody noticing, especially not without causing a mass panic. Let's not jump to conclusions. Yeah, sure. It could just be busted lines or some circuit breaker overheated, Hopper says. We just want to be sure. Joyce touches Will's arm, and he hates the look she's giving him. Whatever it is, Will says, digging his nails into his palms and trying to keep his voice calm. What's the plan here? Do you want to go and check the lines or the gates, or... Already on it. Elle hands him the photos. It's a bunch of men that Will has never seen before. Mum cut these out from the newspapers. It's all the... That's the wrong voice. That's not Elle. Ah! Mum cut these out from... Yep. Mum cut these out from the newspapers. It's all the important guys' faces that might know something about the outage. I'm spying on them. And how's that going? No luck yet. After another couple of sentences, a silence settles around the table. Will gets this feeling deep in his stomach that if it weren't for him, everyone would be sharing their theories by now. But instead, they hold back. He hates this, the tiptoeing around him. It's really just to be sure, Joyce says. Joyce says again. Who wants more cake? Later, Will watches Elle, their mum, and Hopper fake argue in the kitchen. I don't know why it's so bad today. I'm so sorry. It was running like on green for ages earlier. I don't know what's wrong with it. Okay. And even though Will doesn't want to admit it right now, spending these past 2 nights with Mike helped. Because now that he's alone in the cold, dark room, the fear is right back. It's stupid. He doesn't want to depend on Mike. He doesn't want anything from him. He grips the mug in one hand for warmth and sketches whatever comes to mind. Right now, he's working on a house. Every few lines, he pauses to rub his palms over his fingers. The pencil feels stiff in his grip. He sketches shapes at first, lines, then details. The shape of the door, window frames, the roof. When he was 13, Will stopped painting for a couple of months. It was just before the snow dance when he... It was just before the snow dance when he found a stack of drawings in the living room. He'd asked his mum about it, and she told him about the way he frantically sketched all these veins and branches, creating a map of Hawkins that he should have no knowledge of. Ah! No! No! I touched my microphone during that line. No. Dang it. Dang it. I love him. He'd asked his mum about it, and she told him about the way he frantically sketched all these veins and branches, creating a map of Hawkins that he should have no knowledge of. He sighs, rips out the page, and starts again. It's a violating feeling to know somebody's taking control of your body. It's something Will doesn't ever want to feel again. He's about to press the pencil back against the paper when he hears a quiet thump. It's soft enough that he can't really tell where it came from. Maybe a crack of the floorboard upstairs or the wood of the furniture. Will stares at the darkness of the stairs. Or the door? It could be Jonathan, maybe, hopefully wanting to keep him company. There's another sound, and this time he's sure it's a knock. Come in, Will calls, voice tight and jaw stiff from trying not to let his teeth chatter. The door creaks and there's the sound of feet on the stairs. It's dark, so Will only sees him when he steps close, wrapped in a thick sweater, arms hugging himself. Holy shit, Mike mutters, stopping in the middle of the room. Will stares at him, gripping his pencil. The words they've said to each other just hours ago comes back to him in a flash. I guess I just didn't realize how much you've changed. It's freezing down here, Mike says. It's like we're outside. He rocks on his heels, pulling his sleeves over his hands. He looks like he wants to say more, but stops himself. Instead, he crosses the room, looking around like he's never been down here before. Then I guess we don't know each other anymore. Will watches him, waiting for an explanation as to why he's here. It never comes. Are you drawing? Mike asks. What are you doing here? Will's voice comes out rougher than he planned. Mike shrugs, eyes flickering towards the I'm struggling today, I'm so sorry. Mike shrugs, eyes flickering towards the sketchbook. Oh. Wait, there we go. I thought you'd come up to my room again. He comes closer, leaning over the table. That's pretty good, he says, pointing at the sketch. Will rolls his eyes. You don't even know what you're looking at. Sure I do. It's a house. It's... Will stops himself. He showed himself vulnerable in front of Mike last night, and in that moment it felt right. Mike helped him through it. He was there for him. But after... Stammering. But after today, Will isn't sure why they're even trying. And why it's suddenly okay to talk again now that it's dark outside. Mike seems to notice his hesitance. He grabs a chair and slowly sits down at the table, facing Will. He pulls his legs up to his chest, awkwardly because of how long they are, and wraps one arm around them, shivering slightly. "It's what?" he urges. Will stares at the page. "Why are you here?" "I'm just asking. Sorry. You don't have to tell me." "No," Will mutters. "You're acting like earlier didn't happen." "No. You're acting like earlier didn't even happen." Mike sits a little straighter and chews on his lip. Yeah. I might have overreacted. Sorry." Will stares at him, confused. "That's it?" "So, what are you drawing?" No, hang on, I'm gonna grab a drink. And my brain isn't working today. I don't know why. It's not locking in. I feel like too monotone. Like it's kind of like Gay Vampire only coming out at night. Here's a Gay Vampire. "So, what are you drawing?" "Why do you care?" "What?" The obliviousness on Mike's face makes something snap in Will. "We're not exactly speaking, Mike." Will has started sketching random shapes. Will has started sketching random shapes into the notebook, zigzag lines and endless circles. "I mean, we haven't really spoken in months, and apparently we don't know each other anymore, so I don't understand why you're here." The words shut Mike up. Will wants to look at him to see his expression, but he forces himself not to, keeping his eyes on the page. Yeah," Mike says after a while, voice hoarse. "You're right. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry I snapped at you. I guess after last night, what you told me, I figured you didn't want to be alone tonight." Will slowly shakes his head. It's not really the answer he wants, but that's because he didn't ask the right question. The question isn't, "Why are you here?" It's, "Where have you been this past year?" "I don't need company," Will says in a dry voice, focusing back on his sketches. His pencil moves aimlessly, sketching meaningless shapes, hard to control against the tremor in his hand. He's sick of being the bitter friend, the one who's disappointed, always waiting for Mike to reach out. In fact, it was easier when Mike was just avoiding him altogether. "Sorry," Mike says again. It's very quiet. For a moment, Will isn't sure what Mike's apologizing for. Coming down here? Or not coming down here in so long? Their argument? Or something else? He finally looks up to see Mike looking at the sketchbook. His shoulders are slumped down. He looks almost defeated. It makes Will's chest hurt. He wants to take it all back, but he knows he shouldn't. Silence stretches between them. Finally, Will crumbles, unable to bear it a second longer. He leans back, exhaling deeply. "I've been trying to sketch, just random things, but it's been hard." Mike's dark eyes flicker from the notebook to Will's face, his miserable expression faltering, replaced by curiosity. "Why?" Will's throat tightens. "It's stupid," he says, eyes fixed on the page. "Remember when I almost stopped drawing for months when we were 13? For the longest time, I felt like it's not me who's controlling the pen. And now, with the cold, He trails off, gesturing vaguely, not sure if he makes sense at all. But from the corner of his vision... Oh, am I reading too fast? Is that why I'm struggling? Wait. I'm not processing, wait. But from the corner of his vision, he can see Mike nod slowly. Like when you painted the tunnels. You didn't know what you were painting until it was already there. Will chews on his inner cheek. Yeah. Here, look. He flips through the pages of the sketchbook, showing Mike all the things he's drawn in the past hour. Past hour? What was that, bro? Showing Mike all the things he's drawn in the past hour. I know technically these are just random things my mind came up with, but it's like, what if this isn't just a random street lamp that I sketched from my memory? I think it is. I'm blurring words. We don't want that. The whole point of an audiobook is to listen. But it's like, what if this isn't just a random street lamp that I sketched from my memory? Okay. But it's like, what if this isn't just a random street lamp that I sketched from my memory, but instead him trying to show me a place to go or something? Mike studies the pages. That's the street lamp outside my house, he says, pointing. And that's my mum's mug. It has the same stupid flowers on it. And this, I believe this, is Holly's ugly hairbrush. Yeah, okay, I get it, Will laughs, pulling the sketchbook from Mike's grip and meeting his smile that's a little too cautious to be teasing. But the laugh is stuck in his throat when he realizes it's the first time they laugh together in months. Mike's eyes move over his face. These are just sketches of things in the house. Things you know. Yeah, but, he huffs, his hands too stiff to properly gesture. What is it that made me choose to paint these specific things? He took control over my body once, and all our thoughts were intertwined, and it's like, I just don't know how to be sure, you know? Mike leans back in his chair. There's an obvious tremble in his lower lip, and he slipped both of his hands inside his sleeves. I could tell you what to draw. What? That way, you know it's not your or his brain coming up with it. Will narrows his eyes, but he likes the way Mike is looking at him now, a sheepish face. Okay. Why are we struggling? Where are we struggling right now? Where are we struggling? Hydration. Will narrows his eyes, but he likes the way Mike is looking at him now, a sheepish face. Sheepish face! He's looking at him with a sheepish face, god damn it! Will narrows his eyes, but he likes the way Mike is looking at him now, a sheepish face. Frick, I can't do it, Oh, that's such a sheepish face. No, sheepish face, that's a tongue twister. Sheepish face, yes. Will narrows his eyes, but he likes the way Mike is looking at him now, a sheepish face, one that he knows so well. In this dim light, he almost looks like he did 4 years ago, when they were half as tall and twice as close. All the resentment he's felt earlier vanishes into the cold air. What should I draw then? Will asks, raising his eyebrows and rubbing his hands to loosen the stiffness of his fingers. The candle? Will sighs. Yeah, I already drew that stupid candle 7 times today. He proceeds to show Mike said sketches, each one focusing on a different detail. Some on the texture of the wax, others on the reflection in the silver candle holder. Whoa, the room is dark as shit, so there's not much here to draw. Exactly my point. Mike keeps looking his round until his round... Okay. Mike keeps looking around until his eyes stop on his own lap. He's silent for a few seconds. Then he looks up and it's like he's hesitating, but the words spill out either way. You could draw me. Will blinks. You? Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I'll sit still for you. I don't think you're capable of sitting still. Try me. Will sucks his bottom lip into his mouth, looking at Mike. There was a time when he drew Mike all the time in his sketchbooks. Secret sketchbooks. They're not secret anymore, Will. I decide. Your sketchbooks are no longer secret. There was a time when he drew Mike all the time in secret sketchbooks that he hid in the bottom of a drawer. He was only 8 years old when he started memorizing the shape of Mike's eyebrows or the patterns of his curls, stealing glances throughout the day so he could bring it to paper at night. A stupid boy with no idea how dangerous these feelings could be. He wishes he'd stopped himself right then and there, to have never entertained these stubborn butterflies nesting in his stomach. But it's too late now. A sad story, growing only sadder with each year that he fails to fall out of love with Mike. Canon. Oh, he so has secret sketchbooks somewhere. He so does. You cannot tell me he doesn't. He's so drawn Mike before. He realizes he's still staring at him and blinks. I don't know, he says, but he's already reaching for the pencil. Well, I love your drawings, and I have time, Mike says. He looks sincere, and Will thinks about the alternative, which is deciding where to sleep tonight. Fine, he says, and leans over the sketchbook. The thing about making a portrait is that you have to observe the object you're sketching. With the first few lines, Will is overly aware of his eyes that keep glancing at Mike. He tries to look up as little as possible, but then, as he concentrates on the curve of Mike's nose, he forgets the awkwardness and just looks. He knows this face like the back of his hand. It's the same mop of curls he's always used to reference. It's the same mop of curls he's always used as a reference to practice drawing hair. It's the same dark eyes that helped him learn about the light reflections. It's the same lips that he used to daydream of when he knew It's the same lips that he used to daydream of when he knew very well it was wrong, but it was the only thing that kept him sane during the roughest times. We know he's painted Mike before, so he probably wrote off his practice. Oh, 100%. I quite like this description here because it is like, I could see him learning a lot from staring at Mike. 100%. Easily. So, how was it with your mum and Nell? The question is harmless. Still, every word between them feels unscripted now. Like they don't know their lines, they're just improvising. It was okay. They are investigating. Investigating? They think their blackout has something to do with the gates. I was spying on some guys to get more information. Okay, it's good to be safe, I guess. Will tries not to make it too obvious that he's staring at Mike's lips. The truth is, he's been staring at them so often in the past 10 years, he could probably draw them with his eyes closed. Now, in the candlelight, however, light works differently. The shadows are darker, deeper, the highlights sharp. He has to fully concentrate, so much that he forgets how icy his fingers are or that his teeth are slightly chattering. Over the past years, Will had to adjust the knowledge he had of Mike's face several times. With every change in Mike, he had to learn something new. Mike grew, his face became sharper, edges replacing curves. Now, looking at Mike, he finds new things that weren't there the last time he drew him. His face has grown into proportions, brows dark and expressive, cheekbones sharp, lips full. When Will looks up again, Mike is still, his breath visible in the air. Will feels his own pulse in his throat. It's only when he's noticed the tremble in Mike's shoulders that he stops. You're cold, Will states. You too, Mike says without moving. You should go to bed. Are you not coming upstairs with me? But before he can reply, Mike says, I want to see the drawing. Will hesitates, examining his own work. It's always hard finding something good in the things he's made, when his eyes are so focused on everything he could improve. But it doesn't really matter now. Here, he says, slumps a sketchbook on the table and gets up to grab his blanket and pillow. Before he can change his mind, he's already by the stairs, looking back. Mike's bent close to the candlelight, studying the paper. He seems to be scanning the sketch thoroughly, going over every detail. He's awfully quiet. Will shifts anxiously. Is it noticeable in the curve of the lines? Is it written all over the page how much he loves this beautiful face? Can you blow out the candles when you leave? I'm going to go upstairs first. Mr. Wheeler's snoring fills the hallway. Will sneaks upstairs and enters Mike's empty room. The candle on the nightstand is burning low. Comic books are sprawled on the unmade bed. Will lies down on the mattress that's still on the floor, pulling the blanket tight around him. He listens. A minute later, the sound of footsteps approach, the creak of the bed, the rustle of fabric, and then... I really like the drawing, Mike says. Will watches candlelight flicker across the wall. Well, it's been too long without a Will. I didn't know how good you've become. I mean, the last painting you made for me was amazing too, but... Oh, the last painting. Will closes his eyes. He hates thinking about it. It sums up all his failures in one splash of paint. He remembers making these brushstrokes, taking an embarrassingly long amount of time for the details, then hurrying so it would dry up before Mike would arrive at the airport. He kept imagining the face Mike would make when they would see each other again. Honestly, it's astonishing how naive he was. The truth is, Mike says quietly, he sounds different from before, deep in thought, as if sitting still for so long gave him time to think. I never understood why you made that painting in the first place. Will stares at the wall, his chest tightening. Tea! Oh my god, the tea! I'm so excited for Volume 2 painting discussion. I'm so ready. And I know you lied about it. Thankfully, no, that's too optimistic. Thankfully, it's not the first time. Truthfully, it's not the first time he's brought it up. Back when Elle broke up with Mike, he tried to talk to Will about it. He accused him of lying about the painting, and then Will got so defensive, and that's pretty much the last real talk they've had. After that, things just got cold and distant. I was angry for a while, you know, Mike continues, talking into the space between them. I opened up to you, told you about my insecurities, and you just... It's like you're playing with my feelings, telling me things you thought I wanted to hear. But it only made me feel worse. You made me believe Elle said those things to you, but she didn't. She didn't feel that way at all. It hurt me. What painting? What painting? Oh, I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready. I'm so ready for the painting. Will realizes he's holding his breath, his stomach sinking. It isn't like Mike to open up like this. And in a way, Will always craved this kind of honesty, but now he finds himself crushed by the weight of it. And not even because of Elle. I mean, things weren't really working out anymore, and that's fine. She was lying to me in her letters for... She was lying to me in her letters for half a year, and I thought the one person I could trust not to lie to me was you. I think, or I hope, that was the first time you lied to my face. And you never explained it. I still don't understand. I guess that's why I overacted. Well, I'm too gay for you, my brain is frying, I can't say words, oh god. I guess that's why I overreacted earlier. It just looks so easy for you to lie, and it made me wonder what else you've been lying about. Will's stomach drops. The silence between Mike's sentences is deafening, and Will wishes he could fill it, but he's frozen. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that I really like the sketch you made. You always make me look, I don't know, handsome? You're very kind when you draw. That's how I see you, Will wants to say. Silence fills the bedroom. The sound of Mike's breathing is stiff and short. I'm sorry, Will breathes. It's all fuzzy now, in his head. The anger from earlier vanished, replaced by guilt. All he remembers from last year is that Mike was distant. Will always thought he was heartbroken because of Elle, and somehow blamed it all on him. I'm not mad, Mike says. I appreciate you made me this handsome. Oh wait, it's a joke. Never mind, it's a joke. Wait, that was too sincere. I was too faithful in Mike that he would stay this serious for this long. I'm not mad, Mike says. I appreciate you made me this handsome. It takes Will a few seconds to realize he's made a joke. When it clicks, he can't help but laugh, and Mark? Who's Mark? And Mike laughs too. I'm sorry about the lies, Mike, he says, hoping it's audible in his voice that he means it. Earlier, your dad gives me the chills, and I didn't want him asking questions about where I slept, so I thought it would be easier to lie. But you're right, I guess I'm not as honest as I used to be. And I'm sorry for lying about the painting. Really, I mean it. A beat of silence. But you still won't explain, Mike whispers. No, whispers are going quieter. But you still won't explain, Mike whispers. And it's true. Will could never explain to Mike why he said what he said in that van. So, he says nothing. He hears rustling of the blanket, and he swears he can feel Mike's gaze on the back of his head, like he's still waiting for an answer. But there is none. Because despite how desperately Will wants to be honest to Mike, he can't be honest about this. And in a way, it's always circling back to him. The shame of it all. These feelings have been the cause of every lie at breakfast this morning, and no matter how many years pass, he can't seem to be able to escape it. At some point, Mike turns around again. It takes a long time to fall asleep. No. It takes Will a long time to fall asleep. There's a water drought in California. We've got to sleep in the same bed. I read ahead a tiny bit. They do it in the army, Mike. They do it in the army. There's a water drought. Wait. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm giggling too much. He doesn't know what time it is. The room is dark, the candle almost burned down. Was somebody speaking? Did he dream it? What were the words? Something warm is brushing against him. Mike's knee against his shoulder. Half asleep, Will pushes against it, chasing the warmth. There's a quiet mutter. Will, wake up. You're really cold. Will can barely keep his eyes open. He was just dreaming about a cornfield. Or maybe canola. Something yellow. Blue and yellow, blue and yellow, blue and yellow. Something possessed me there, guys. He blinks to make out Mike, kneeling on the floor beside him. What? Will asks, his mouth slow and heavy. You woke me up with all your teeth. You woke me up with all your teeth chattering. Mike's voice is hushed and close. He feels a hand on his forehead, warm and soft. They have an unspoken rule of no touching. They've had it for almost a year now, both being acutely aware to bring as much distance as possible between them. It's why Mike never wants to sit next to him on the couch during movie nights with the others. How is your hand so warm? Will mumbles, still confused as to why they are awake. I don't know. Come on, get up here. What? It's too cold on the floor. You're not warming up. We shouldn't have spent all this time in the basement. Will isn't quite catching up, but he's already being dragged up by Mike's hands on his arms. Mike, no, that's not necessary. Why are you being so complicated? It's too narrow. It's a 2-person bed. There's enough room. No, it's really not necessary. Will, please. His voice isn't sharp, but pleading. Exhausted. Will lets himself be pulled up. The mattress dips under his weight. It's warm. Mike has slept on this side of the bed. Will sighs, immediately relaxing into it. We can swap blankets. Mine's all warm. Here. The moment he feels Mike's blanket over his shivering body, Will wants to cry. It's so warm. Mike picks up Will's pillow and blanket from the floor and slips into the other side of the bed. Pulling Mike's blanket up to his chin, Will exhales shakily. His body starts to thaw, muscles unclenching one by one. He can't express how good it is to feel warm. No. So a blue and yellow bench in front of like a Jesus. Byler is Jesus approved, guys. Byler is Jesus approved. Church gate. He can't express how good it feels to be warm. This is, he starts. Then, at the risk of sounding pathetic, he adds, really nice. Mike cuffs out a tired laugh, his voice close. So, no inner voice telling you to keep your body cold? No. Will closes his, Will does something. I don't know what he does, but he does something. Will closes his eyes and feels the sleepiness come right back to him, his eyelids growing heavy. I think I'm safe. You are safe, Mike reassures him. His voice is low and soft. And for once, Will believes him. Okay. Peakness. So something actually I just realized reading through this for the second time. So we find out in like chapter 8 that Mike hasn't been sleeping well. So it's not Will's teeth chattering. Like, here, you woke me up with all your teeth chattering. It's not that Will's teeth were chattering, it's that Mike was awake and watching him. Ah! Alright, okay. Let's just check how much data this is using, because I don't want to completely fry my data. Oh, like nothing. Okay, fine. She's using barely any data, even for a full hour. Okay, I'm gonna grab a drink. And after this, we're at the halfway point. You can definitely fit, like... two more chapters in. This one and the next one, then I might go on break to eat. We'll see how I'm feeling. I'm stammering a lot, which means I'm a bit spaced out, which is... Oh, I moved myself. Ah! Oh, God! Oh, I'm being thrown! Okay. Where was I? There? There. That feels right. Okay. Yeah, let's go to chapter 4. Oh, I didn't say chapter 3, dang it. Okay. Chapter 3. No, I did. Never mind. Chapter 4. Just like the days before, Mike is gone when Will wakes up. Pale morning light seeps through the curtains. The space beside him on the mattress is still warm, and he lets his hand linger there for a minute, fingers pressed to the fabric where Mike's body had been. For once, his limbs don't ache, his head feels clear, and he's warm. Judging by the absence of digits on the alarm clock, the power is still out. Will stays under the blanket for a while, knowing it's probably the warmest he'll be all day. It's Mike's blanket, he remembers. They'd swapped. Something twists low in his stomach. He closes his eyes, replaying their talk from last night in his head, the urgency in Mike's voice as he opened up to him. Will knows how hard that must have been, because Mike is a lot of things, but he's not good with emotions. Will fights the urge, telling himself he shouldn't do it. He really shouldn't. But then he pulls the blanket over his face. He stays very still, eyes closed, feeling the fabric against his skin. Then he breathes long and deep. Mike's scent has changed over the years. Like that time he started using a different shampoo, or when Mrs. Wheeler found interest in a new detergent. There's a hint of something a little more grown up and manly now. Maybe his dad told him to use aftershave, even though there's barely any reason to. Beneath that, there's the same scent that has always been Mike, the one he's known since they were 5, smelling of 1,000 versions of them, of sleepovers, suppressed thoughts, and butterflies. He's breathed, yep, he does breathe, in fact. Well done, Ree, when he is in fact breathing. He's breathed it, in all night, okay. He's breathed it in all night. That sounds really funny. Why can't I do that? He's breathed it in, He's breathed it in all night, his face inches from the fabric. Now he presses it into his face, his blood rushing, the sound of his heartbeat inside his ears, suddenly feeling lightheaded and greedy. He's gonna pretend he didn't do this later, but for now, he lets himself. Just once. Just once, guys! Just once. For that smaller, stupider version of him who thought just wanting something was enough to make it real. Eventually, he forces himself out of bed. The cold in the room is a shocking contrast to the warmth under the covers. He moves quietly, carrying his blanket and pillow back down to the basement, careful not to make the floorboards creak. He spots the drawing from last night on the table, lying out there for everyone to see, and it feels too intimate now in the daylight, too raw and revealing. When he reaches the kitchen, it's just Mike, his dad, and Holly, their faces pale and drawn, tired from the cold. The radio on the table plays a song through static, loud enough to prevent conversation. Morning, Will mumbles. Morning, Will mumbles, sliding into the chair beside Mike. When he looks up, Mike is already looking at him, his hair a mess, and Will waits for him to avert his eyes, but he doesn't. Will's eyes move over Mike's frame, remembering the way Mike had sat still for him last night, despite the tremor in his shoulders. Morning, Mike says, with a cautious smile. But there's another pair of eyes that Will can feel on his face. He looks across the table and meets Mr. Wheeler's gaze. No newspaper in sight, one elbow on the table, eyes sharp, mouth tight against a coffee mug. It's strange to see him like that, to see him just be there. It sends a chill down Will's spine. Across the table, Holly pushes a piece of bread onto Will's plate and nudges the marmalade towards him, her fingers leaving a sticky print on the glass. Will lets her decide what he's having for breakfast. He couldn't choose anyway. When he flips the lid, she smiles up at him. Ah! Oh, Ted Wheeler. Oh, we need to make this bigger now. Wait, hang on. Anyone that joins, guys, you need to be careful. Trigger warning, Ted, okay? Trigger warning, Ted. This is very much a Ted Wheeler chapter from memory. Let's put it back in. Nice and big. We don't want anyone joining without knowing it's trigger warning, Ted. Now that it's been 3 full days without power and no TV, Ted Wheeler is slowly going insane. On the first evening of the power outage, he'd sat silently on his lazy boy, staring at the blank TV screen, the newspapers from last week draped all over the couch in his lap, the radio on full blast. He started frantically working through all the crossword puzzles from the past issues, like they could somehow fix the blackout, muttering incomprehensible words. The next day, he claimed the walkie, spending all day trying to reach authorities, mumbling to himself between bursts of static. Yeah, I don't think anyone likes Ted. I think in the show, I don't mind him. He's very neglectful, but I don't know if I necessarily want him to die like a lot of people do. Like, he's not on the level of Lonnie. But in this, he's arsehole. I think Karen deserves better, but I don't think that Holly, Mike, and Nancy deserve to lose their parents. Although between Karen and Ted, it's clearly one definitely should go over the other, and it's not Karen. Is all I'm saying. Yesterday, he started paying attention, and today, he's watching Holly draw. It's unclear if he's actually watching or just looking in her direction, eyes glazed and unblinking. But the sight alone is enough to unsettle Will. Mr. Wheeler doesn't just sit and watch his kids. He exists near them, not with them. Mike and Nancy have always been given a lot of freedom or disinterest from their father, which is why they were able to use this house as base of operations from their father, which is why they were able to use this house as a base of operations for the past few years. With Mr. Wheeler no longer distracted by the TV or newspaper, he's suddenly another pair of eyes watching their every move. And then he starts asking questions. Nancy, he says after lunch, another watery soup, which Will boils some water. Oh, Karen has terrible taste in men. So real. What? Why is this her type, dude? What the? She's so bizarre. While Will boils some water on the camping stove, Nancy's already halfway out the door, coat half zipped. What exactly is it you're doing all day? Nancy throws a quick look at Mike like she's worried about their dad's mental state. The fact she's been dating Jonathan for years is kept a secret, not just because Mr. Wheeler hates the Byers, but also because he could easily throw them out of the house if he knew. Which is why Nancy and Jonathan are usually anywhere but home. Just out with friends. Do I know these girls? Yeah, you remember Amy? Will recognizes the name as one of Nancy's childhood friends she hasn't spoken to in years. Her tone is too light, and a more attentive father would have seen right through it. She starts making up some excuse about preparing for college, dropping a few keywords that she knows her dad likes to hear: application, preparation, extracurriculars, and he lets her go. At dinner, it's Mike's turn to be questioned. So, Michael, how's school? Mike looks at his dad like he's lost his mind. Since when do you care? He mutters, and Will and Holly exchange a look, trying not to laugh. Will has always been fascinated by how easily Mike could talk back to his dad, because to Will, Mr. Wheeler was always a little scary, even if he didn't do or say anything. I care, son. Mr. Wheeler dabs his mouth with a napkin, his tone flat as usual. Mike mutters something that sounds close to bullshit. Any nice girls in your class? Oh my god, Dad. Mike's groan is so dramatic, even his mum hides a smile. It's normal for boys your age to be interested in girls. I certainly broke 1 or 2 hearts myself when I was 16. It's ironic, really, how when he's questioning Nancy, the worst thing she could admit to is hanging out with boys, while with Mike, he's expected to date, be a man, and break hearts. Sure you did, Mrs. Wheeler says with a smile, breaking the tension. I'm boiling water for tea. Who wants one? The family spends the day by the fireplace, the warmest part of the house. Holly draws on the carpet, tongue poking out in concentration, occasionally asking Will for advice on the shading or the details. Ah. Oh no, I crunched my mic during that, damn it. Sit still, Mike. Okay. Holly draws on the carpet, tongue poking out in concentration, occasionally asking Will for advice on the shading or the details. Will tries to read, sitting cross-legged on the floor, when Mike joins him silently, a comic in hand. His knee brushes against Will's and he doesn't look up, like he doesn't even notice. It feels casual, just them coexisting, side by side, reading together like they used to. And maybe something has changed. Maybe things can go back to the way they were. Will bites back a grin, hiding behind his book. But the crackle of the radio, louder than the crackle of the fireplace, reminds him of Mr. Wheeler's presence, sitting just 5 feet away from them with a critical lack of distraction, eyes moving around the room like he's waiting for something to happen. While looking through the room, his thumb and index finger turn the knob of the radio, clicking through the channels. Again, Mike's knee brushes Will's as he finds a more comfortable position on the carpet. Holly hums quietly next to them. No new information on the power outage. Residents are suggested to stay at home and keep warm. For anyone struggling with the cold, there are community spaces free. Static, their music. Will tries to block it out, focusing on the words on the page, but he's too distracted by how close Mike's knee is to his. And we're back with this month's Top 40. A click, more music. Will throws a glance at Mike, who's hunched over his comic, fringe falling into his face. He remembers drawing him last night, sketching out the curve of his nose, and now, in the daylight, he sees so many details that weren't there last night. His fingers itch to draw him again, to draw him until he's memorized every single detail to the last freckle. He shifts a little, just to make their knees brush again, a touch so light it could have been accidental. Is this not the best song you've heard all year? Another click. Maybe they can be friends again. Go back to where they were before everything changed. Maybe now they will work as a team, just like Mike had promised. And maybe whatever's coming their way isn't that scary at all. Not when Mike's there with him. Homosexual activists in San Francisco. There's another click. Then Mr. Wheeler seems to change his mind, twisting the knob back up the frequency. Will is still watching Mike, but then Mike is looking up in confusion, and the eyes meet, and something is wrong, because there's a glimpse of worry in Mike's eyes as they flicker over Will's face. That's when the words on the radio finally catch up to Will. They say it's not a gay disease, but you don't see churchgoers getting it, do you? The man on the radio says, and Will feels himself freeze. God sends us signs, and this one is about as clear as can be. Suddenly, the room feels small, and Will is too aware of his own body, sitting on a carpet with a family that's not his own, next to the boy he's secretly in love with. And suddenly, it feels like everybody knows. Did Mr. Wheeler skip back to the channel for him specifically? To let him know that he knows? Is this his way of telling Will to scoot away from his son? To stop looking at him? Maybe it's time we start talking about personal responsibility, the man on the radio says. Instead of government handouts for prevention methods, the kids don't need to know all that, at least the normal ones. Fucking Ted Wheeler, bro. Oh, I'm trying to just read this. Oh, God, I'm not enjoying reading this bit. God. Ugh. The words are loud and raw, and Will blinks, his gaze fixed on Mike's furrowed brow. He feels the blood rush in his ears. But then Mike averts his eyes, glancing back down at the page. Will shifts on the carpet, moving his knee a few inches away from Mike's, as if touch is suddenly something that needs to be avoided. His breathing is shallow, and he wishes he could leave the room, but that would just give it away. Instead, Will stares at the blurry page, the spaces between the letters, and tries to melt into the carpet. Only when the broadcast is over and some Christian music starts playing, he can breathe again. Mr. Wheeler changes the channel, like he's not interested anymore. How are people homophobic, dude? I don't fucking get it. Like, love is love, dude. It's not... Like, why do you see a gay couple and just think, ugh, because you're not happy in your own marriage? Jesus. Anyway. All day, Will can't shake the feeling of being watched. It's strange, because the past days he's been dreading the night, but right now, the night feels like the safest time of the day, and Mike's bedroom the safest place in the house. At around 10 p.m, most of them have gone to bed, and Will gathers his pillow and blanket from the basement. On the stairs, he's extra quiet. He knows how this would look. There were rumours after Will disappeared. Theories about how Will, at only 12 years old, was meeting up with some other queer in the woods before being killed and left in the lake. Nobody said it to Will's face, but the rumours at school were spreading far enough to reach him. Somebody said Mr. Wheeler was one of the people talking to other parents about it. To this day, the thought alone makes Will sick to his stomach. He thinks about it now as he silently closes the door to the basement, holding his breath in the hallway, fingers clenching the blanket. Like, why do you want gay marriage to be illegal? How you want to over yourself? They want to hoard the gay marriage, guys. Like, geez, like, how does it personally affect you that gay people are getting married? Like, why does it piss you off so much? Because you want to be in a gay marriage? Like, excuse me, what? Is that it? Because you're jealous? Like, he thinks about it now as he silently closes the door to the basement, holding his breath in the hallway, fingers clenching the blanket. When Will was found that fall, Mr. Wheeler banned him from sleeping in Mike's room. Will would stay in the basement, and Mike would sneak down at night under the noise of the TV blasting in the living room. But now, there's no TV, no snoring. The radio's out. It's just silence. When the floorboards creak under his feet, Will stills. Who's there? No, it's Ted, isn't it? Who's there? He holds his breath. The pillow and blanket under his arm feel heavy and stiff. He manages. Just me. There's a silence. Will stares at the stairs to Mike's bedroom right in front of him. He should have waited longer. He should have made sure Mr. Wheeler was already asleep or distracted by the radio before sneaking up. Come in here a minute. Will's stomach twists. Holding his breath, he drops his bedding on the floor before stepping into the living room in quiet feet. Mr. Wheeler sits in his chair, the silent radio in hand, but it's unclear what exactly he's doing. Probably just going in and out of sleep. A single candle burns on the table, its flickering light trembling across the room, casting shadows that twist the furniture into eerie shapes. Why are you up here? He asks. I just needed some water. Will's face burns. There's a bathroom in the basement where he can get water from. I mean, I needed a glass. Mr. Wheeler's eyes slowly drag over Will from head to toe. It's not even what he says. It's that he doesn't have to. The radio voice from earlier echoes through Will's head. And maybe Mr. Wheeler doesn't mean to scare him, but there's something about him, something father-shaped, that makes Will feel seen in the worst possible way. Even when he was young, he always got this feeling from Mr. Wheeler, like he knows who he is. It's like he can smell it on him, the way his mind is messed up, like his brain is filled with a virus that is contagious, and he'd have to make sure his own son doesn't catch it. It's what his own dad always said, That Will must have caught it from some other boy. That Will must have caught it from some other boy. The hairs on the back of Will's neck stand up. The air in his lungs turn thin. Finally, Mr. Wheeler grunts and looks away. Okay, he mutters, releasing him. Will backs out quietly, throat tight. In the kitchen, he fills a glass of water, grabs his blanket and pillow from the hallway, and rushes downstairs. It doesn't matter how cold it is. He slips under the covers, presses his eyes closed, trying to detach. I hate the word detach. I always struggle with it. Trying to detach from his mind and body, in hopes of being completely unaware of the freezing cold around him, or his thoughts, or the gut-wrenching feeling of not only being perceived a freak, but actually being one. Because they are right. Mr. Wheeler and his own dad. They've always been right. It's strange, because the last few nights Will had been scared not of the things... It's strange, because... It's strange, because the last few nights Will had been scared not of the things inside the house, but of what was lurking outside. Surely the homophobic dad of your best friend isn't scarier than interdimensional monsters trying to find you. But the darkness didn't look at him like that. He felt safe upstairs, with his knee brushing against Mike's by the warmth of the fireplace. But maybe that was an illusion, only possible through all the lies Will's telling and all the things he keeps bottled up. And maybe it is wrong what he's doing, sneaking up into Mike's bedroom. Maybe he should never have provoked this much pity that made Mike feel like he needed... Mike feel like he needed to share a bed with. That made Mike feel like he needed to share a bed with... No, Will forced himself to stop thinking like that years ago. He's not going to fall back into it now. He's not. He curls up, hugging his legs to his chest and pulling the blanket over his head, hoping his breath warms up the air inside. His clothes are stiff from the cold, and his thoughts aren't helping. Mr. Wheeler knows who he is. He's known for years. Today, he reminded him that this is his house, his son, and that he can kick Will out as easily as he let him stay. And maybe that's not true. Maybe Mr. Wheeler wouldn't actually kick him out. But Lonnie used to say it all the time, when Will was only 6 years old and they were still living together. Keep this up and you'll need to find another place to sleep. Can't watch school, I will later. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to read 3 chapters, probably stop the stream and then restart it later, so... You're good. If you're missing stuff now, there'll be stuff later. Will squeezes his eyes shut. The basement feels small and empty. He's right back where he always ends up. Cold, scared, and hiding. It must have been an hour at least when a noise startles him out of his racing thoughts. The candles burned out, the room is pitch black. Dying. Will's too far up in the blanket in the cold to bring himself to call out or reply. After a couple of seconds, the door creaks open either way, and there's quiet footsteps in the dark, shuffling over the floorboards. Will? Will? He doesn't move, doesn't answer, not until a small flare of orange light cuts through the dark, and Will pulls his head from under the blanket. Mike is right there at the bed, his face wrapped in orange light as he lights a candle. Their eyes meet. Are you okay? Mike whispers, voice thick with cold. Will wants to tell him. He wants to tell him everything, get this weight that's been building up over all these years off his shoulders. But he can't. Yeah. Where were you? I waited. Oh no, it's hushed voices. Ignore me. Where were you? I waited. Will swallows the lump in his throat, hoping it's not too obvious how miserable he is. He props himself up on one elbow. Your dad? His voice feels thick. I had to go back. Why? Mike kneels by the mattress, setting the candle on the floor. His breath is visible in the air. He hugs himself, rubbing his arms. What did he say? Nothing. He just... Will trails off. You should have just come up. I told you yesterday he doesn't want me sleeping in your room, Mike. He wouldn't let you freeze down here if he knew how cold it was. He would. He would. No, that's an odd one. It's like he would. He would. Will suddenly feels stupid, like he's making it all up. He feels too fragile to fight. He was like this when we were kids too, remember? And he literally said it 3 days ago. He said boys our age aren't supposed to sleep in the same... Well, he doesn't know shit, Mike cuts in, sharper than usual. His fingers slip inside his sleeves and his shoulders tremble with cold. And honestly, I don't care what he thinks. I can't talk back to him like you can, Mike. The exhaustion from exhaustion from explaining himself weighs on Will. He can kick me out of the house. It's not... I can't just do whatever I want. Mike's eyes move over Will's face, softening. Okay then, how about we go upstairs together, and if he hears us, I'll tell him to mind his own business. Okay, no. I feel like Mike's voice has a lot more enthusiasm and it's less monotone than Will's. Not monotone, but it's less flat. Okay then, how about we go upstairs together, and if he hears us, I'll tell him to mind his own business. Will quietly shakes his head. Nothing in the world can convince him to go up there again. Not tonight. It'll be fine, Will. He was asleep just now. No, Will says again. It's not worth it. Mike sighs. He looks across the room. Then he disappears into the shadows and returns with the blanket and pillow from the couch that Jonathan barely uses. Fine. Scoot over then. What? Mike, no, it's freezing down here. That's exactly why I'm staying. Mike's already crouching beside him, his knees brushing Will's thigh, and Will quickly scoots against the dead heater. He watches as Mike lies down next to him, adjusting Jonathan's pillow and pulling the blanket over himself. Dude, he mutters, a thick tremble in his voice. This blanket is like an ice brick. Which is why you shouldn't sleep down here. Could say the same about you. When Mike settles into the small space next to him, Will can't help but tense up. This is different from upstairs. The mattress is narrow, the space crowded. Even pressed against the heater, with blankets and clothes between them, he can feel Mike's shoulder and arm brushing against him. It's distracting enough to make him forget about how scared he was earlier. Great, Will mutters, voice casual to not give away how his breath is hitching. Now we can both freeze to death. Mike chuckles, but the noise is disturbed by the chattering of his teeth. From the movement of the blanket, Will can tell if he's rubbing his arms. Will can tell he's rubbing his arms. They stare at the ceiling for a while, watching the candlelight flicker over the beams, the air clouded by their breath. You know, Mike says after a while, I liked it better when my dad didn't care. Will laughs. Yeah. He's been up in our business all day, like, who does he think he is? There's a grin audible in Mike's voice, and Will turns his head slightly because he doesn't want to miss it. Mike is close, his eyes fixed on the ceiling, a small smile on his mouth, a slight tremble of his lips. Is that Will first, then Mike? I'm slightly confused. Is Will saying sucks me, that gives a shit the next? Yeah, I think. Yeah, Mike has to be the one saying exactly, surely. Well, next one is Mike's bedroom, the closet. Yeah, they rearranged the entire Wheeler house specifically so that the Demogorgon went through the closet. I found that hilarious. And the fact they threw Ted through there as well, like, break the closet, Ted. Sucks when your dad gives a shit about you. Exactly. They used to bond over this, both having shitty dads in different ways. While Mike's dad is mostly harmful through being absent, Will's was aggressive, always calling him names. Mike seems to follow a similar thought trail. I know my dad can be an asshole, but he's not like yours. He's too lazy to cause real damage. He just wants to scare people, but it's usually just a bluff. Today, he was probably just bored. You don't need to take him seriously. Will remembers the radio broadcast and the way Mr. Wheeler looked him up and down earlier. Maybe it's true that neither of these things meant anything, but it still made Will feel incredibly small. Still his house, his rules. It's a stupid rule. Why shouldn't we sleep in the same room? It doesn't make sense. I'm gonna have some drink. Hang on. Hydration. Will watches Mike's profile that's cast with orange light. Does he really not know? Have the blatant homophobic comments his dad muttered in those past years really just moved past him? He thinks I'm a bad influence, Will says, vaguely. Mike snorts. You're the most innocent person I know. You don't even drink at New Year's. It's not that, Mike. Mike turns his head, eyebrows wrinkled in honest confusion. They're lying so close, Will can see the freckles on Mike's face. Then what? He hesitates. Why is the S being cut off? Is that my microphone or... He hesitates. You know what he thinks of me. Mike's frown deepens. His eyes search Will's face. Will looks back, his eyes flickering between Mike's. Just like they had earlier on that carpet, when both boys were listening to the violet words on the radio. Will watches as a hint of realization washes over Mike's face, but it's cautious and hesitant. You mean, he thinks that you're, Mike stops, his eyes a little, Mike stops, his eyes a little too wide. That you're, Will cuts him off before Mike can say a word that neither of them would be able to take back. He thinks I'm weak and quiet and not interested in the right things. His face feels heated, and there's a part of him that wishes he did... I'm stumbling again. His face feels heated, and there's a part of him that wishes he didn't interrupt Mike. A part of him wanted to hear him say it, this forbidden 3-letter word that their dads like to use as an insult. Yeah, Mike said. Yeah. Yeah. Mike lets out a breath, like he's relieved he didn't have to finish his sentence. But it doesn't matter what he thinks, Will. He doesn't know you. He knows my secret. He doesn't know you, Mike repeats with more force. But what if he's right? Even if you were, these things. A silence spreads between them. Will's heartbeat picks up and his eyes widen. Mike's eyes flicker over Will's face, then he looks back at the ceiling. I mean, even if you were quiet or weak, which you're not, he says, stumbling over his words, and even if you were interested in things my dad doesn't understand, he doesn't know the first thing about you. He doesn't know what you like or think about or what you've been through. He's barely spoken to you. His opinion means nothing. Nothing. No, I need more emphasis on that second one. Mike is always like saying stuff twice, bro. Nothing. Nothing. Something like that. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see which one I like in editing. His opinion means nothing. Nothing. Will looks at the ceiling, blinking. He's never been so close to speaking to Mike about this, and he's not sure if Mike can feel the underlying meaning of his words. Yeah, he murmurs. I guess so. Tomorrow, you'll come up to my room again, okay? No matter what my dad says. Because this is a really fucking shitty place to sleep. Will laughs breathlessly. I've seen so many memes about this next bit. After a minute of silence, Mike shifts, turning his side to face Will. He adjusts his leg, and in the narrow space, it slips under Will's blanket, knee bumping Will's thigh. He doesn't pull back. You're still shivering. So are you. Yeah, this isn't really working, Mike says, eyes moving over the blanket. Do you think we should... He hesitates, making a vague gesture with his hand. Share one blanket? Or we could stack them, for body heat. That's how they used to do it in the army. Or still do, I don't know. Will stares at him. The army? Yeah, for warmth. Just, never mind. No, it's probably a good idea. Your dad would hate it, though. Mike laughs and Will can't help but join in. It's freeing, in a way, to joke about it, and Will can feel the tightening around his chest loosen a bit. There's a rustle as Mike lifts the edge of Will's blanket and slides under. The first rush of cold air makes Will shiver. Mike's clothes are cold and not making this any better. He drapes his own blanket on top, so they're both buried under the weight of 2 blankets. This okay? Mike asks, his voice closer now. Yes. When they were kids, they'd done this 100 times, sharing blankets and sleeping bags, giggling as they tried to stay awake all night, only to fall asleep after barely 20 minutes. Mike shifts again, turning his back to Will. Will does the same. They lie back to back, sweaters brushing. Mike shifts closer until their spines touch. Probably good to stay close, Mike mumbles. Right, like the soldiers. Shut up. The room settles into silence. Will feels too aware of everything. His breathing, Mike's breathing, the rustle of Mike's movements, Mike pressed lightly against his back. How would someone normal feel right now? Someone not in love with Mike Wheeler? He doesn't know. It's hard to imagine because he's done it for so long. Then he hears a soft voice, a quiet, good night. And Will remembers. This is Mike. He might not look like the one from 10 years ago, but it's still him. And it's easier to breathe. Night. Will allows himself to relax, closing his eyes and gently pressing back against him just to feel him there. Solid and warm and all too familiar, the rhythm of his breathing humming against his back. It's the army, William, the army. Will, you don't understand. We need to spoon because they do it in the army. They do it in the army. There's a water drought and there's a power drought in California. We have to sleep in the same bed. It's like the army do it. I love that meme. It's the army, guys. Trust. Jeez, Mike's not gay. Where did that even come from? What the heck? When he wakes up, the candle's gone out. The room is pitch black. Mike shifts beside him, his limb too long to be subtle, his elbow bumping into Will's back. What are you doing? Will whispers. Sorry, I can't find a comfortable position. He sounds awake, restless, like he hasn't slept yet. Do you want me to light another candle? Will considers for a moment, but he feels safe enough now. It's fine. Mike is turning again, his chest brushing against Will's back. Then his voice is at the back of his neck, hesitant. Can I put my arm around you? I don't really know where else to put it. Okay. Will stays very still as he feels Mike's arm on his side. He's careful not to touch Will with his hand. When Mike sighs, Will can feel his breath on the back of his neck. I said that word at the end. Will can feel his breath in the back of his neck. Your nose is cold, Will whispers. Sorry, Mike says, but he doesn't pull away from where his face rests against the skin of Will's neck, just where his hair starts. Your neck is warm, though. It's nice. Will lets out a quiet breath. Glad I can be of service. Mike laughs softly against him, breath tickling the thin hairs on the back of Will's neck. Their breaths are short, their bodies a little tense, adjusting to the unfamiliar closeness. Is this okay? Mike asks. Yeah, Will says. He stays still and listens as Mike's breathing slows down. Now Will is the one lying awake, staring into the darkness while feeling the warm air of Mike's breath wash over him. His heartbeat is unsteady, but slowly his body is heating up. He lies awake until Mike's nose is all warm and he can feel the heat radiating from the body against him. He forgets about Mr. Wheeler or Vecna or his own inner voice telling him to be ashamed and scared. When his eyelids go heavy, he relaxes against Mike, and all that's left is the feeling of being safe, here on this bed in the dark, with nobody to witness the way Mike is pressed against him and the way his heart is beating a little too loudly inside his chest. Welcome in. Oh, it's so cute. Oh. Oh. It's such a cute fan fiction. It's so cute. It's so cute. I love Mike is so funny in this fic. Like, oh, power's out. It's so cold. Do it in the army. You have to trust me. They do it in the army, okay? Jeez. Okay. Okay. So, we'll do chapter 5. And when we finish that, I'll go cook dinner. So I'll probably like end the stream and restart it. And then in the last part of the stream, we will read the last few chapters, which are quite long, which is why I'm going to go have like a proper meal. Like I would just pause the stream and just have a snack, but I do want to have a big meal before going to the last bit. So yeah. Hydration. I know a lot of people watching yesterday are later viewers, so I don't want to like isolate them too. So okay. Whew. Chapter 5. Will stirs to consciousness. When he stretches, his shoulders ache, a dull pain that runs down to the base of his spine, like he'd spent the night folded into an unnatural shape. The cold metal of the heater presses into his shoulder blade, so he inches forward. That's when he feels a body pressed against his. Will opens his eyes, breath hitching, as he sees a curly black hair spilling out. A curly black hair. Yes, a singular hair. Mike Wheeler has a singular hair. Will opens his eyes, breath hitching, as he sees curly black hair spilling across the pillow, brushing against his face. A warm back against his chest. A familiar scent. A boy, once a friend, and now... It takes him a second to realize how close they are. Shit. His foot is caught between Mike's calves, his nose tucked into the soft curls at the back of his head, catching the faint smell of the same shampoo he's using. Their bodies are flush, closer than they were last night. And now, in the pale morning light, it feels wrong. It feels impossible. But it's a privilege, too. To be able to feel the tickle of those black curls on his lips. To be dizzy from the smell of him. Will's stomach twists. The quiet hum of morning fills the basement. No wind, no heater, just breathing. Slow and steady. Mike's frame rises and falls against Will's chest. He's sleeping. He's warm. It's like a daydream. One he'd make up when he was 13, dreading the moment he'd have to snap out of it and remember that it's not real. And this shouldn't be real either. Mike wouldn't want this, not if he knew what it meant to Will. Will slowly pulls his foot from between Mike's calves, careful not to wake him up. But the small movement is enough to make Mike stir. He mumbles something in his sleep and rolls onto his back, his shoulder brushing against Will's chest, his legs trapping Will's foot beneath them. The morning light bleeding through the basement window washes over his features. Will stares, unable to move. Mike's face is close, one arm flung over his head. His hair is all messy curls, his face full of sleep, eyebrows furrowed in a small frown, lips slightly parted and a little chapped. Will takes it all in, eyes wide, and remembers sketching those lips 2 nights ago, but now, in the morning light, they look too real. He looks too soft. And he's too close. Mike makes a low sound in his throat. His eyelashes flutter before he blinks, unfocused, squinting against the light, slowly scanning the room, until his eyes land on Will. The air between them feels charged, thin, like the smallest movement might break it. Oh no, that's more. Oh. Mike sits up so fast Will nearly jumps. He jerks his leg back and sits up, wanting to bring as much space between them as possible. But being trapped between Mike and the heater isn't helping, so he gets up, abandoning both the mattress and the warm blanket. He doesn't want Mike to think he's been watching him sleep, but he can't say that he wasn't. There's no way to explain without making it worse. Outside the blanket, the air is sharp, biting at Will's skin. He stands in the room while Mike looks anywhere but him. Will says, "I'm gonna go to the bathroom." "Okay," Mike mutters, his voice thick with sleep. His curls are a mess, falling across his forehead as he busies himself with the His curls are a mess, falling across his forehead as he busies himself with the His curls are a mess, falling across his forehead as he busies himself. His curls are a mess, falling across his forehead as he busies himself with the burned-out candles on the floor. Will leaves the basement without saying another word, and despite the cold air around him, his cheeks burn hot. Upstairs, it smells of burnt firewood and coffee. Will helps Mrs. Wheeler set the breakfast table while she gathers up most of Holly's art supplies, which have somehow taken over half the house. Markers, paper, and a ridiculous amount of crayons that a younger Will would have been jealous of. When Mr. Wheeler enters, Will stands a little straighter, but his eyes seem less threatening in the daylight, and then he starts talking about his latest theories for the power outage that are so blatantly stupid that Will almost feels sorry for him. Apparently, his new coping mechanism for the power outage is conspiracy theories. Blame it on pretty much everybody. "That damn military," he says now, standing by the stove and waiting for his coffee. They've been monitoring Hawkins. I keep forgetting to do the voice. I'm spacing out. "That damn military," he says now, standing by the stove and waiting for his coffee. "They've been monitoring Hawkins since the earthquake, but for what? Have you ever thought about that?" Just then, Mike steps into the kitchen, rolling his eyes at Will, who bites back a grin. It feels true now, in the morning light, what Mike says yesterday. I'm messing up now, geez. It feels true now, in the morning light, what Mike said yesterday. Maybe his dad's opinions really doesn't matter. Maybe he really doesn't know anything. He just likes to talk. Mike drops into the chair beside him and Will watches, chest tight. He can still feel his hair on his face, the warmth of their entangled legs, the heat his body radiated all night, pressed to his, and the kitchen doesn't feel as cold anymore. Mike glances at him, a curious look on his face. "What?" he whispers over the hiss of the camping stove. "Nothing," Will says, realizing he's been staring but not quite able to look. Nothing, Will says, realizing he's been staring but not quite able to look away either. Holly bursts into the kitchen then, holding more crayons and paper, which Mrs. Wheeler intercepts before she can clutter the breakfast table again. Mr. Wheeler talks about the Russians and their possible interest to leave Hawkins without power until Mrs. Wheeler lets out a sigh coming from deep within, like she's been holding it back since the day they got married, which finally shuts him up. After breakfast, they gather in Nancy's room to call Earl and get an update on the investigation she and their mum have been working on. Mike is slouched on the bed, Will beside him, while Nancy sits on her desk chair. Jonathan, half distracted, is picking up one of his socks from the floor. Nancy's bedroom was definitely tidier before he moved in. "I haven't found out much," Elle says, her voice crackling with static, so Mike adjusts the frequency until it clears a little. He sits with one leg crossed over the other, the sole of his foot brushing against Will's thigh in a painfully casual way. Will looks down at their laps, feeling a tingle in his fingertips. When he glances up, he meets Jonathan's eyes, who raises his eyebrow but doesn't say anything. Most of the guys I've spied on say the power outage is caused by an unknown technical defect, Elle explains, moving the attention back on the walkie in Mike's hands. They make really long and confusing phone calls. I'm trying the construction workers next, but it's harder because we don't have any pictures or belongings of them. Nancy nods along, seemingly deep in thought. She takes the walkie from Mike. What would we need? Like a water bottle? A pen? Anything they touched. Jonathan frowns at Nancy. What are you saying? We should go out there, see if we can find anything. Nancy gets up from her chair and opens her closet. I'm bored anyway. Static crackles again, followed by Elle's mechanical voice. They mentioned something called a substation? That's where they sent the construction workers to check for defects. That's just outside of town. Jonathan rubs his forehead. Well, okay then, we're going. Should we come? Will glances at Mike, who looks back just as unsure. No, Jonathan says decidedly. You two stay here. We can't sneak around with too many people. It might just be an excuse to keep them safe, but Will doesn't have the strength to argue. Nancy and Jonathan find their old press badges. They've expired, but hopefully nobody will look at them too closely. Will feels the nerves in his stomach. Even if they haven't found anything yet, and this whole thing is just for precautions, it feels like something's going down, now that not only Elle and Joyce, but also Nancy and Jonathan are working on the case. Be careful, okay? He says a few minutes later, shivering in the cold air on the front porch, arms wrapped around himself. Always am, Jonathan smiles, so his eyes wrinkle. He watches as they drive off in the car. With the house quiet again, Will and Mike linger in the kitchen, boiling water for tea. Spending time together almost feels natural now, which is absurd considering it hasn't been for almost a year. They'll be okay, Mike says, cupping the steaming mug between both hands, his voice low. From the living room, the usual quiz show blares faintly. It's an easy enough task. They're not putting themselves in danger. Yeah, Will says, though he's not fully convinced. Probably. I just hate sitting around and waiting. Mike looks straight at him, eyes dark and serious, like they used to be. Will recognizes something in him, a young boy that he thought he'd never see again. What would you like to do? I don't know. He fumbles with the sleeve of his sweater. I wish I could do something, like use my senses to locate Vecna or whatever. But I don't trust my instinct right now. I keep thinking he's right outside the door, and I don't know if that's real or if I'm just going crazy. Mike listens quietly, like it's the only thing he's ever done, and at the word crazy, a small smile goes over his lips. Fear makes you feel things that aren't really there, right? I get that. But it's good to be cautious. There's nothing wrong with that. His voice is soft, a tone he used to reserve only for him. Oh, wait, okay. His voice is soft, a tone he used to reserve... No, yeah, that's my mistake again. I need to say used, not used. His voice is soft, a tone he used to reserve only for him. And it feels warm even now, when Will's fingers and toes are freezing and he has to tense his legs to stop the shiver. Mike shifts closer, just enough for their arms to brush. Will stares at the table across them, his icy fingers playing with the hem of his sweater. And it can be a good thing, right? Mike continues. I mean, it was always pretty clear to you when he was close. So if it's not clear right now, then maybe he's just not here. Will stares at his hands. Maybe. It's okay to be scared, Will. Mike nudges him lightly. But right now, we're not in danger, okay? Okay. We can stick together if you want, so you'll be distracted. Will looks up into Mike's eyes, who's already smiling at him. And if you don't want to hang out in the living room because of my dad or whatever, we can stay in my room. In the soft afternoon light, he almost looks like he used to. Sure, he's taller and his voice got deeper, but he's unguarded, no longer avoiding eye contact or touch. Something's changed. Really changed. The hopefulness blooming in Will's chest is almost painful because of how much he wants this. I'd like that, he says, smiling back. They spend most of the day together, not talking much, just keeping each other company. Mike is sprawled across the bed, absorbed in his comic book, while Will sits at his desk. While Will sits at the desk with a sketchbook and a pencil, lost in his own little world of colours and shades. Mike's Walkman is turned up to full volume, but since it doesn't have speakers, the music leaks from the headphones lying beside him on the bed, rough and tinny and barely a whisper. But it's nice, still, to listen to some real music again. I love this song, Will murmurs, hunched over the desk as he designs an alternate album cover for Bowie's Aladdin Sane. Mike seems too engrossed in the story to respond. He loves the casualness of this, the way Mike is barely looking up from the page like he isn't questioning Will being here at all. It reminds him of a time when they could just hang out like this all the time, spending quiet afternoons together, just coexisting. He's afraid he's getting used to it. You can take the Walkman if you want, Mike says, after a pause, like the words have only just caught up to him, his eyes still fixed on the comic. I'm not really listening anyway. Will, who's been itching to get the music on his ears, grabs the Walkman and slips the headphones on. Cool. Drawing is a million times more fun with music. Will restarts the song again and eventually feels himself completely immersed in the activity. Something inside him goes quiet, and he's focused in a way he hasn't been in months. When he pauses to sharpen the pencil, his eyes drift around the room. He realizes the mattress from the floor is gone, shoved back under the bed. Did Mike just want to tidy up, or does he... Well, they did share a mattress those past few nights. Will's eyes move to Mike, who's still reading, brows furrowed in concentration. He slipped under the blanket, sometimes closing his eyes like he might fall asleep, then blinking them open again to keep reading. Then he looks up. Will needs a couple of seconds for his mind to catch up. Mike raises his eyebrows in question, as if asking, "What?" Will straightens up, heat rushing into his face. He shakes his head and does a stupid half shrug as if to say, "Nothing," before quietly averting his eyes. This is the third time today Mike's caught him staring. He glances at the pencil in his hand and realizes he's sharpened half of it off. Will replays the album once it ends, the familiar notes filling his ears again as he finishes the first sketch. He's tracing over the outlines with a thicker pencil when he feels a hand on his shoulder. He jumps. He didn't hear him get up, and quickly yanks the headphones off. The door. What? Nancy is at the door. Will blinks, frowning, turning in his chair. The door is still closed, and Mike's just standing there, and now Nancy is calling, and Mike still hasn't moved. I'm getting a drink. I had to redo that, actually. I had the water bottle crankled. The door is still closed, and Mike's just standing there, and now Nancy is calling, and Mike still hasn't moved. Will manages, not quite catching up. Mike's hand is still on his shoulder. Did you wanted to keep it a secret that you're staying here, Mike reminds him in a quiet voice. Oh, Will says. Right, no, it's fine. They don't know I'm sleeping here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Ah, well, that's a weird one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Mike nods, eyes flickering over Will's face, and this whole conversation is ridiculous, because why would they hide that they're hanging out in front of their siblings? Sure, it feels sacred in a way, and still fragile, this whole thing, and part of Will does want to hide it from the rest of the world, protect it from everyone else's eyes. But it's not like they're doing anything wrong. Mike's hand slips from his shoulder and he nods once more before turning to open the door. Took you long enough? Sorry, fell asleep reading. Whatever. I just wanted... I just wanted to tell you... Oh, hi, Will. Nancy looks past Mike to find Will at the desk. Will lifts a hand in a small, awkward wave. Hey. She looks between them, and for a moment, Will can see the questions flickering through her head. Since when are you two hanging out again? Who apologized first? And why the fuck did it take you this long? Thankfully, she proceeds with her original matter. We went to the substation, talked to a couple of workers. They said they're checking the lines for defects, but haven't found anything yet. I don't know, they could be lying. Could have been telling the truth, Mike says, and even though he's not looking at Will, he knows the words are meant for him. Yeah, sure, Nancy shrugs. We stole some pens and got them to Elle. Cool, thanks. So, what are you up to? What are you two up to? Mike glances back at Will, then at his sister. Nothing, just hanging out. Cool. When Nancy leaves, Will stares at the door, already knowing Jonathan's going to interrogate him about this later. At night, Will brushes his teeth and washes his face. Down in the basement, he hurries to change his clothes, but the few minutes are enough to bring down his body temperature. He curses under his breath, standing naked in the freezing cold. The fresh clothes he put on feel stiff from sitting untouched in the wardrobe. He promised Mike he'd sneak past Mr. Wheeler tonight, but even though he spent most of the days in Mike's bedroom, he's dreading it now. He waits at the foot of the stairs. I lost it. I lost where I was reading. Anyways, he waits at the foot of the stairs. The house above is too silent, too dark at night, and getting caught feels a million times more risky now. Slowly, he opens the basement door and listens into the hallway. There it is, Mr. Wheeler's light snoring. Will waits another minute, making sure it's even and steady, before tiptoeing up the stairs to the second floor. Mike looks just like he did when Will left him, sprawled in bed with his comic book, the 9th issue, but now he's changed for the night. The candle burns low on the nightstand, throwing soft light across his face, painting the room in warm shadows. Will hesitates, awkwardly standing in the room. He realizes he didn't bring his own blanket, and even though they shared one last night, the thought of just climbing in bed beside Mike makes him feel shy. What are you doing? Mike asks, without looking up from the page. Do you want me to sleep on the floor? What? Now he does look up, brows furrowed in confusion. No, of course not. Get in here. With chattering teeth, Will climbs into bed. Mike lifts the blanket and Will slips under it carefully, trying not to brush against him. Even with the space between them, Mike's body radiates warmth that Will can feel through his icy clothes, and it takes all the restraining in the world to not just lean closer. While Mike reads, Will stares at the ceiling. The silence is comfortable, but there's a question heavy on his tongue, making it hard to breathe. He croaks out eventually. Mike glances up, his eyes flickering over Will's shivering form. He raises his eyebrows in question, reading his mind. Are you cold? Yeah. Do you want to come closer? Will nods, feeling ridiculous. Come here. Come here. Mike lifts one arm, so Will shuffles closer, his head coming to rest on Mike's biceps. He didn't plan this position, but now that he's in it, it feels odd. But now... Oh, okay, I see. I get it, I see it. He didn't plan this position, but now that he's in it, it feels oddly... cuddly. He immediately feels stupid, but Mike's hand lands on his shoulder, keeping him there, like there's nothing strange about it at all. Maybe Will's overthinking it. After all, they're just trying to stay warm. The rules of what's weird and what's not don't apply to situations like these. Because there's an electricity out in California! It's on my phone! Wait, I can't turn the page now. I can. Just tell me when. Mike huffs a laugh and Will can feel the vibration of it against his shoulder. He doesn't know anything about this comic series, but with nothing better to do, he reads along. Since they were kids, they've always read at a similar pace, so the rhythm of turning pages comes easily. Only sometimes Mike stops him. Wait, I'm not done yet. Okay, now. Soon, Will finds himself engrossed in the story, his body relaxing against Mike's. Oh my god, he says. No, oh my god, he says. Why did they end it here? There's more, Mike replies, setting the comic on his nightstand. But I'm getting tired. Want to read them tomorrow? Tomorrow. Like, this is how they'll spend every night from now on. Yeah, Will says. Unless the power comes back. The words slip out before he can stop them. There's a pause, and then Mike says... There's a pause, then Mike says, I mean, even if it does, we can read together, right? Or do you not... Will feels Mike's warm leg brush against his cold one. No, I mean, yes, I want to, he says, breath unsteady. That would be nice. There's still a small part of him that expects this to be temporary, that they're only friends again to survive the abnormal situation they're in right now. If they have to share a room, they might as well get along. But maybe that's not true at all. Hey, my arm's kind of sore. Oh, sorry. Will lifts his head so Mike can pull his arm free. They stay close. The candlelight flickers over the ceiling, and Will watches the orange patterns for a while. You're still cold, Mike murmurs. Yeah. Yeah. What is that? Yeah, I struggle with the one lines. Yeah. Do you want me to, something has shifted between them. Yesterday, Mike could barely touch him, but now he's reaching out, his hand brushing the strip of skin of Will's waist where his sweater has ridden up. Will flinches. Sorry, Mike says. Is my hand cold? No, you're warm. I was just surprised. He wants to move closer, to sink into that heat completely, to be entangled in Mike's arms and legs and body until he's all warm and fuzzy. But he always feels too greedy, so he stays still, taking only what Mike is willing to offer. Mike's hand rests on his back now, over the fabric. Is this okay? Yeah. More would be okay too. Mike pulls him. Gay, homosexual. Yeah. So gay. It's so gay. I'm excited we've reached these points now. Like, I love the build-up, but I love it. Mike pulls him, soft enough that Will could easily resist if he wanted to. He doesn't, though. Instead, he lets himself be drawn in, his hand hovering uncertainly on Mike's back, afraid to touch. His cheek brushes against the soft fabric of Mike's sweater. Even as kids, they never hugged like this. Sometimes Mike would touch his arm or his hand, but only briefly. Since they were teenagers, they barely had any physical contact at all. Now, lying here, Will's chest aches with the knowledge that this is the only circumstance that they can ever bring their bodies this close together. Because when the power's back on, maybe tomorrow or the day after, there's no way he'll get another chance to feel him like this. Maybe they'll be friends again, but they won't be this. And Will shouldn't be greedy, but he's just a boy and this feeling is so damn old. Will allows himself to take a deep breath, trying to memorize this feeling, saving it for later, saving it for the rest of his life. Love is hopeless for boys like Will, a yearning meant to ache, never to result in anything. Better? Mike says. Yeah. Will hopes his shivering isn't too obvious. Mike's hand barely hovers over his back, like he's unsure where to touch. But eventually, he relaxes against him, his hand settling against Will's spine. Despite his racing heart, Will lets himself relax too, eyes fluttering closed. He melts into him, cheek flushed against Mike's chest. How do you get so warm? Mike chuckles, the sound reverberating, that's the one. The sound reverberating through Will. I've been in bed all day, and I guess I'm usually warm by default. It's true. When they were kids, playing in the snow, Mike's hands were always the warmest. Will used to reach for them when he couldn't feel his fingers anymore, and Mike would warm him up, rubbing his palms over Will's hands. Even then, Will knew to only do it when no one was looking, his instincts teaching him to be careful long before he understood why. Now, every breath carries the scent of Mike, comforting and familiar. And it's a little unsettling how good it feels to be this close, how easy it is to want to be closer. So warm, he murmurs into Mike's chest, because it's pretty much the only thought in his head. Mike doesn't say anything, but his hand slowly drifts over Will's back, rubbing warmth into him. In his tired mind, Will realizes he's never been held like this before. And maybe he never will be again. Maybe this is all he'll ever get. Then he feels something deep inside of him, giving in. His body is moving before his mind catches up, pushing closer to Mike. And somewhere in his brain, he knows he's too greedy. He's crossing a line, but he can't help it when Mike is this warm and he is this cold. With a quiet sigh, Will nuzzles closer, lifting his head, seeking warmth and finding it in the skin of Mike's neck, soft and hot. Mike flinches, and Will is awake again. Shit. Sorry, he stammers, pulling his head back from where he's pushed his nose into the warmth of Mike's neck. I'm sorry. He knows he messed up, he crossed the line, he made it weird, and he's ready to retreat entirely, to curl away and disappear, but Mike's hand tightens on his back, holding him close. No, it's okay. He pulls him in again until Will's breathing against his neck, short and unsteady. I was just surprised. Your nose is really cold. Oh, Will swallows. Okay. He tries to breathe shallowly, quietly, with his face against Mike's neck. Being this close, he can hear Mike's breathing, feel him swallow, his throat shifting, a slow, quiet motion. Mike's pulse moves in a fragile rhythm, and the skin there is the warmest. Mike drapes a leg over his, tucking Will's cold feet between his own. It takes a few minutes for Will to stop shivering, but even then, they stay close. Will's breathing slows down. His eyelids grow heavy. Maybe he can sleep like this. Just one night in the warmth. Just one night in Mike's arms to be remembered for the rest of his life. Will? It takes a second for his brain to tell his mouth how to speak. Yeah? Oh, you're asleep. Sorry. Forget it. No, say it. It's not important. No, it's not important. Just say it. No, Mike shifts slightly, but his hand on Will's back stays steady. I was thinking, it's nice that we're hanging out again. Today was fun. Today was fun. Will smiles, careful not to let his mouth brush over the warm skin of Mike's throat. Yeah. It's been kind of lonely this past year. The room is quiet, and maybe it's something about the night and the dark that drives Mike to talk, because they've spent all day in near silence, but now it's like the words are spilling out again. Will wishes he could see his face, but he's too close to look up. Yeah, he agrees. And then, because he's feeling courageous, I missed you. I missed you too. Will closes his eyes, feeling Mike's fingers trace slow, comforting shapes through his sweater. You know, Mike says, after a minute, I kinda like this. What? Just this, that it's cold and we have to sleep like this. Will feels his face start to burn. Mike likes, what? Being close to him, cuddling, feeling every part of his body pressed against him? Because Will doesn't just like it, he loves it. But Mike, I know it sounds stupid, Mike says, but it makes me feel like I have a purpose, you know? Oh, right. This past year, I feel like This past year, I felt like you didn't need me at all. Now we literally need each other to stay warm. It's nice. Will hums, ignoring the ache in his chest. You don't always have to be useful, Mike. Sometimes it's enough to just be there, you know? Just for company or conversation. I still need you, even when I'm not freezing. I needed you all year. He doesn't say it, but the words sit heavy against his throat. And just like that, he feels trapped right back inside that van, trying to tell Mike how he feels and hiding the truth behind some general statement. Yeah? Yeah. There's a pause. It's weird, right? How we spent a whole year not talking. Sometimes I wonder what happened. It takes Will a couple of seconds to realize what's happening. He imagined this conversation so many times, but he's given up on it ever happening long ago. Even if they'd ever start being friends again, Will always thought they'd just pretend they never stopped and not talk about it at all. I guess we've changed, Will says quietly. I mean, even before I moved, we weren't that close anymore. I never wanted to change, Mike mutters, almost a whisper. You had every right to. Will isn't sure when it all started, the growing apart. Maybe it was that summer the mall opened and all Mike would talk about was Elle. Will remembers their fight in the rain. Growing up sucked, and the fact that Mike was growing up at high speed, leaving Will at the tracks, hurt. I wanted us to stay kids forever, Will says. And I know that wasn't fair. You were allowed to grow up. Yeah, but I still acted like a shithead. Will laughs into his neck and Mike's... Oh, no, that's more... If he's laughing, it's more... Yeah, but I still acted like a shithead. Will laughs into his neck and Mike grins against his hair. He sounds wide awake, the sort of restlessness that only comes late at night. I never really apologized, Mike says, about what I said that day in the rain. Will feels the knot in his chest tighten. Yeah, he says, because it's true. I'm sorry, Will, I never meant it like that. How did you mean it then? That day was the closest they ever came to addressing the elephant in the room. Ever since that day, Will's wondered how much Mike knows about him not liking girls, and whose fault that is. Which is stupid, really, because of course it's not Mike's fault. But if it wasn't for Mike, Will probably would have taken a lot longer to come to terms with it. This past year was just stupid, Mike says. Will can feel him swallow against his cheek. We should have just talked about it instead of avoiding each other. It was childish. Well, Will smiles. We're still growing up. Mike traces circles on Will's back with his thumb. It's no longer for warming up. Just for the sake of it. Will closes his eyes and lets himself melt into it, his tense muscles relaxing one by one. It's warm and Mike's scent is all around him, but his heart is still pounding from the weight of the words between them. Are you falling asleep? Mike asks into the silence. No. Good. Will can hear the hesitation in his breathing. He waits, focused on the way Mike's fingertips move over his back, listening to the pulse in his throat. I didn't want to bring it up again. Mike shuffles a little, knee-bumping Will's. But I guess I can't just not bring it up. It feels like it's kinda sitting between us, you know? Will's breath catches. What? But he already knows what's coming. After all, it's what started this whole mess. It's what made Mike stop speaking to him in the first place. I thought, since we're being honest, Mike says, after a beat. Could you explain why you lied about the painting? It's an innocent question, polite almost. And yet, it's the hardest question in the world. Will stares at the hollow of Mike's throat, feeling his curls tickling his forehead. All this talking, all this honesty, just to lie again, just to be ashamed again. His chest is tight, and the hand on his back suddenly feels like something he doesn't deserve. The touch of the boy he's going to keep lying to for the rest of his life. He has to say something. Well? Sorry. That's really good timing. I'm sorry, that was... Will? Yeah, sorry. I guess I don't know. You don't know why you lied? No, I do. I just don't know how to explain it. A pause. Is it something bad? Mike's hand has stilled now, and his arm feels a little tensed against Will's side. Is it something bad? In a way, falling in love with Mike Wheeler might easily be the worst thing Will's ever done. I guess you could say that. Another pause. I'm sorry, Mike. I don't want to lie again, so I just don't know what to tell you. I can't tell you. But why can't you? I can handle it. I'm sure it's not as bad as you think. Will opens his mouth, closes it again. It's a secret, he whispers eventually. And I'd like to keep it that way. The silence that follows is long enough to make him sick. Is this it? Is this all it takes to lose Mike all over again? Instinctively, he shifts, trying to pull away, bring some space between their bodies, but as soon as he does, Mike's hand on his back tightens. I want to accept that, Mike says, his voice a million miles away, even though he's right there. But it feels unfair, because it's about me. You lied about my relationship. I guess I just feel like I have the right to know why you would tell me that my girlfriend needs me so much she commissioned a painting from you when she did not need me at all. I don't get it, Will. Were you scared that I'd find it weird? Were you embarrassed I wouldn't like it? Because I don't understand. You used to draw for me all the time. Please, just explain it to me. Over the course of Mike's monologue, Will's pulse has started racing and he feels too hot, too close, too trapped, but Mike's hand is holding him right there. He tugs on his arm, trying to free himself. Mike, he chokes. Let me go, please. Finally, Mike's grip loosens. Will takes deep breaths and shifts a couple of inches away, bringing some distance between them. Mike looks at him. The flame of the candle reflects in his wide eyes. He's handsome like this, all golden and shadows, and he looks so vulnerable, Will almost wants to cry. I'm really sorry, Will whispers. I made the painting all by myself. It's not really a confession, because Mike must have gathered that much already. It doesn't matter anymore. Then why didn't you just tell me? Will opens his mouth, closes it again. He's never going to get past this. It's always going to be in the way. I guess I wanted to comfort you or give you courage. No, it was so emotional. Wait. Give you courage for what was coming, he tries, 1,000 words racing through his head, but not a single one that feels right. You were so worried about Elle, and I thought the painting would mean more if it came from her and not me. That's bullshit. I know, and I didn't plan it, I swear. When I made the painting, I wanted to tell you it's from me. He wanted to tell him so much more. That whole spring just feels like a blur now. Will was just really coming to terms with the fact he was in love with Mike. But what Mike actually needed from him was a friend, not somebody in love with him. But then again, Mike didn't really act like a friend either. But then you avoided me at the airport, Will continues, and you barely talked to me at the rink, and it felt like you didn't care about me at all. And then, I don't know, it just felt like the only way I could make the painting mean something was by telling you it was from a person you cared about. It's not the whole truth, but true enough that it stings. But I realized now that was cruel. And I'm sorry I hurt you, Mike. The frown between Mike's eyebrows is still there, but it's softer. Will wants to touch the crease, soften it out. He wants to draw his fingers across Mike's face and tell him the truth. Tell him everything he's holding back. Tell him, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm sorry. You know that's not true, right? Mike says quietly. That I don't care about you? Will swallows. He remembers this feeling so well, all the third wheeling, the disappointment after spending 6 months missing Mike every minute of every day. Yeah, he says. I guess I know that now. Back then, it was just, I don't know, all you talked about was Elle. You didn't ask me a single question about my new life, the school, whether I had made new friends. You just... I asked about the painting, Mike cuts in, at the airport, and you avoided the question. Will blinks. He can't believe Mike still remembers that. Because you were acting all weird, barely able to hug me when it was the longest we'd ever been apart. Yeah, well, whatever argument Mike had in mind, he drops it. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is I never wanted to stop being your friend. I never wanted to stop being your friend either. There's a pause, and the silence feels heavy with the importance of it. Okay, well, Mike sighs, his eyes searching Will's face. I still don't get why you can't tell me the truth. Because I'm sure whatever it is, we can work it out. But I won't ask again. And a drink. It's such good angst. I'm enjoying reading it as well. So well written. And somehow, those words make Will's stomach drop. He decided long ago he would never tell Mike the truth. But there's a part of him that wants him to insist, to force it out of him so he can stop carrying this weight by himself. No, Will hears himself say, already knowing he'll regret this. You can ask again. Mike's frown deepens. What, so you'll tell me in like 5 years? Will presses his lips together. Maybe. Mike lets out a small laugh that releases the tension. I hate this, he says. But fine. I'll ask again. Maybe tomorrow. You can try. Oh my god. Mike shakes his head, laughing. Come here, it's getting cold. They move closer again, arms wrapping around each other, chest to chest, Will's forehead against Mike's chin. It feels almost ceremonial. Like the hug seals the future of their friendship. The squeeze of Mike's hand on Will's back says, I'm sorry. The squeeze of Will's hand says, me too. The candlelight flickers. Will closes his eyes. Mike's toothpaste breath washes steadily over his forehead. Mike adjusts his position, and for a moment Will swears he feels Mike's lips in his hair. Eventually, Will's eyelids grow heavy. Even though they're warm now, Mike makes no attempt to pull out of the embrace, and neither does Will. It's comforting and warm and terrifying all at once. It takes a while to fall asleep, and judging from the sound of Mike's breath, he lies awake too, until their breaths grow equally steady, slowing down. Will drifts off into sleep, allowing the feeling of Mike's hand, his chest and head, his legs entangled with Will's to comfort him, instead of making him feel guilty. Okay. So that is chapter 1 through 5 done. So now we have 6, 7, and 8. So, yeah. So I'm going to end stream here. Netflix has just posted a video saying there's something coming tomorrow. Ooh, okay. Hey, anyway, so I'm gonna end the stream. I'll come back in probably like an hour or two, and then we'll finish off all the chapters, because I said I want to get them done today. So tomorrow, and then maybe the day after, when I finish work, we can get it like finished. Well, actually, no, I work till 7:30 on Friday. Ew. Saturday? Yeah. That seems the next time I can do it. And we will get this finished by the end of the week. Trust. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. I will see some of you in a little while, and if not,